This is the budget tool that we've created for each CSC member to give the district feedback on the proposed number of units and incentives per unit for the incentives measure that the CSC members all suggested during our last couple of CSC meetings. You can see here that each of the proposed measures are listed and categorized by type of measures on this sheet. The first category are all incentives directly given to residents. The next category is for roads and community transportation, and so on. For each category, we've summarized the total target or estimated emissions reductions that would be for each measure based on the numbers that you see in the cells over here. So for example, for all of the resident incentives here in this proposed sheet, we see 5.6 tons of NOx that would be reduced from these measures, and so on in each of these columns, and a total of $4.5 million here in the proposed funding. However, if you, based on your experience or your interest, feel like there needs to be adjustments made throughout this spreadsheet, you are invited to type into each one of these white cells any of your suggested changes. Several of the cells you'll see are not white, they are grayed out or a different color. You will not be able to adjust those because they are automatically calculated based on the numbers that you provide here in the white cells. For example, if you feel like we need to invest in fewer electric vehicle replacements to make room in the budget for other types of measures, you can make that adjustment here and instead do 100 cars instead of 200. When you type that in and press enter, it recalculates all of the emissions reductions, the proposed measure funding, as well as the total emissions reductions and proposed incentives. Similarly, if you increase it, you will notice a couple of things. We will go over the budget, so you might need to go down and adjust other measures to make sure that you're within or around the 30 million. But you'll also notice we significantly increased the number of emissions reduced for the CERP, and that is something to keep in mind. If we go back to what we had here, but scroll down to some of the measures that are more along the lines of heavy-duty measures that maybe get more reductions, you can see that that affects the emissions reduced a lot more significantly. For example, if we went and said we only want to replace 5 diesel trucks instead of proposed 20, you'll notice that we are well below the threshold for which we want to aim to get emissions reductions in the CERP. So you'll have to make adjustments elsewhere, but stay within budget to make sure that we increase the NOx potential in this CERP. For example, if we say we want to reduce the number of trucks, but increase the number of tractors, it might be possible to stay within that budget while also increasing the NOx to a level that will still get us emissions reductions throughout the CERP. You do not have to make any changes, but whether or not you make changes, we are also asking that you let us know how much you support each measure. So a yes means, yes, I want this in the CERP. A maybe means, I'm not sure if I want it in the CERP, I might need more information. And a no means, even with this measure level or any other change here, I just don't want this type of measure in the CERP. It's not something that I feel that we should invest in. One of the things you can also provide are notes, whether it's for a no or yes or a maybe. This will allow you to type in why perhaps you felt like you needed more information and couldn't yet decide on a specific measure. You can just say, I need more information about how this would work. And when you do that, you're able to let us know why you chose maybe. Again, you are not obligated to do any of the changes. However, we do ask as much as possible that you are filling out the section where it asks for your support. Finally, if you have additional measures that aren't captured here, you can enter those ideas here and allow the district to then do calculations for you on a later date when we meet in person. All of this is not our final time to make decisions, but will help the district and the facilitation team work with the co-leads to set up an exercise during our April meeting in order to help us guide discussions on how to finalize the CERP measures. So you will have several other opportunities to make decisions and to provide input This is just one way to make sure that we're doing some work in between meetings to get the feedback that I know you all would like to give us.